Hey, welcome to Morning Mindset. We're here on this gorgeous Sunday. Uh, we're here to start another week inside Morning Mindset, which is where we help virtual assistants to level up on their business, their lifestyle, and their mindset to create the life of their dreams, really. And this, I tell you, I had a tough week last week. So this week is based on some of the things that I've been doing to pull myself out of that tough week, because I talk a lot about who we're being and the things that we manifest in our lives and things like that. And something hit me out of the blue, and this is a great lesson that life happens. It really does happen. And sometimes things appear in your experience that you can honestly say, how did I even manifest that? But however you did, and then you have to find a coping mechanism for that. So I did a lot of this technique, which I'm going to be sharing with you today, which has basically allowed me to bounce back from what happened at the moment and try to continue on this path of making my choices about what occurs in my life. So that's where we're at today, coming to you from virtual co-working space. Okay, so let's talk about this topic. The topic is acting as if. So this week we are unpacking the acting as if topic, and you can use this in two ways. Now, the techniques that I give you, remember, they are not essential for you to get what you want out of life. But we have to understand and know that we're constantly manifesting. And sometimes we get ourselves in this rut of, I'm not attracting the things in my life that I really want, and I don't see the things in my life that I really want. And then you end up in a perpetual cycle of that. So you have to take some form of knowing and knowledge that your reality, the things that you see around you, your environment, the things that are happening to you with people, in all these different areas of your life, they're happening because that's where your mind has been at. That's the awareness that you're creating for yourself. So you have to shift into a different awareness. So a lot of these techniques are to help you do that. Now, some of you will resonate with certain techniques. Scripting, I resonate a lot with. Anything I want to change in my life, I know that if I script it out and write it down, it's clear to me then. Whereas sometimes we can get caught up a lot in our own thoughts, and then our thoughts can often wander, and they will wander in a direction that isn't really serving us. So the thing that I want to share with you is another technique that you can use, which I would definitely say do it as a fun thing to challenge yourself. It's such an interesting experience to really suddenly shift realities, shift into a different person, and the feelings that you have shift with it. And it's such an interesting idea that you feel bad. And oftentimes we're feeling bad because we're choosing to feel bad because we think that we need to, or think we should feel bad, as opposed to selecting how we truly want to feel. Like, in this situation, I should feel bad. That was where I was. That's absolutely where I was last week. And this is kind of like the thing that I've been doing more consciously to get myself out of that. So the act as if technique is when you decide on the outcome. And Nikki, you're a big picture person, so you'll probably get this quite easily. Particularly if you're a big picture person, it's really good. So you can either think to yourself, I want the outcome of what's going to happen to me in the next week, or you can think to yourself, I want the outcome of what's going to happen to me in the next 5 years, 10 years, for the rest of my life. It does not matter. Time is a linear concept. Imagine there is no time. We're just thinking about where we want to be or how we want things to look. So what I tend to do when I do this is I have really kind of four primary areas that I tend to focus on, and I get super clear on those. So we're going to talk about this as we unpack it, but the areas really are money, so finances, because, you know, as they say, it makes the world go round. But a lot of people are hung up on the money. We all need money to live, and that's what our collective consciousness tells us. So money, and then the next one is like love and relationships. So if you have a significant other, partner, spouse, marriage, or it could also be relationships between siblings, parents, nieces, nephews, grandchildren, you know, it could be any kind of relationship. So I always think about what is the perfect outcome for my finances? What is the perfect outcome for my relationships? And I always think about the details. If anything is bothering me right now that I want to particularly fix, maybe I've had an argument with someone, or maybe a relationship is a bit strained right now with someone. So I always think about how I want that particular relationship to go. Then I think about my contribution. So generally we call this work, career, business, but I call it a contribution, because oftentimes the stuff that I do doesn't feel like work to me. It feels like something that I really want to do to contribute to society, to contribute to my life and other people's lives. So the contribution is technically work, career, business, or how you contribute. And again, this doesn't have to be an exchange of money. If you decide you want to spend your life volunteering in a soup kitchen, that's your contribution. And then there is health, of course. So we have our health, we can call this also our physical appearance, how we feel inside ourselves on a physical level, that type of thing, energy, all of that good stuff. So we've got finance, money, we've got love, relationships, we've got contribution, work, and health and physical appearance. That's like, to me, that's my ultimate life. You know, everything else with those four things literally falls into place. It's the ultimate happiness. All you need to really focus on is those four things to pretty much have everything that you want in life. And this is what I've found. You know, if you say to yourself, well, what about, you know, traveling and things like that? Well, that all comes under that umbrella in some way, shape or form. So think about those four things. Get super clear on the end goal, living in the end, like everything that you could have ever wanted. And again, this could be small if you can only manage the next week, fine, or it could be big, but you have to be able to see the improvements you want to make in your life in those four areas. And once you are able to do that, and it's always helpful to write things down. I do it myself. I look at each area and think about the perfect thing that I need to occur in that area. So then what we're going to do, that's the first thing. Then what we're going to do over these next 4 days and today is really unpack the acting as if. Now, acting as if is exactly what it is. It's acting as if you already have your desire or your goal. Like, let's say, for example, you want to manifest £1 million, okay? Now, very few people are actually going to say, I want to manifest £1 million. And what that looks like to me is having £1 million sat in my wardrobe. Okay? Usually you cannot see the £1 million because it's a concept of a figure in a bank account or something like that. So you might say to yourself, oh, I could go and check my bank account and see it and things like that. And that's absolutely true. But generally, if I'm sat here with you and I have £1 million, you can't see that I have £1 million. And I also can't see the £1 million because I'm sat here talking to you. So who's to say that £1 million does not exist? So you are not acknowledging that that £1 million does not exist. So everything that you decide, you act as if it's already happened. So the first thing I want to talk about today is that we're going to break this down into basically 4 parts of how you act as if. And how you step into that character. It's very much like stepping into a character in a movie, or, stepping into a role in life. Or, like when you have a baby, you suddenly step into becoming a mother. When you get married, you step into, or a father, of course. When you get married, you step into becoming a wife or a husband. It's you suddenly immediately step into that role. And we do it automatically. We are now that person. So what you do in the acting as if is you step into that. Now, the first thing I always think is a good thing to take notice about, because this is really something. Every day we're going to talk about an imaginal technique that helps you to get into the acting as if. And the first thing is to try and imagine and see yourself. If I'm the person who has everything, the perfect body, the perfect relationship, and or relationships, the perfect financial circumstances, and the perfect work that I love to do every day, or contribute that things that I love to contribute every day, what would I actually look like physically in order to say I am that person? Do you dress different? Are you looking different? You have to see, if you are, for example, let's say it's your physical body, and let's say one of your things is to lose 20 pounds, okay? You have to act as if you are already 20 pounds lighter. You have to really imagine what that would look like. If you would wear different style of clothing, you have to start wearing the style of clothing that you would wear if you were 20 pounds lighter. So this is what I'm talking about physically. Would you do your hair differently? Would you wear different clothes? Would you physically show up differently? Would you walk differently? Would you talk differently? Would you sit differently? Would you look in the mirror and see yourself differently? These are all the physical characteristics of acting as if. You, as much as you possibly can, step into that person in a physical sense as to what they would look like. And it's very, very interesting, because I sort of did this. If we're talking about in the physical, we're talking about physically. So I did this very recently with myself. I realized I was in a situation where I wouldn't buy myself new clothes until I had lost weight. I wouldn't wear certain things until I had lost weight, because I was telling myself I couldn't. And I would not look in my mirror and praise myself for being the person that I wanted to be, because I always saw what I was. So I had to start changing that. And in order to do that, in order to change physically, I went out and bought clothes that I would not have worn. And I got rid of all the clothes that did not fit with the person that I wanted to be, or the person that I was acting as if. So I literally, in my physical world, and this doesn't just work with clothes, that's one option. I'm talking about objects. I'm talking about everything. So let's say, for example, you want to lose weight and you have this belief that you've been on all these diets and they don't work. You got to burn the diet books, get rid of the diet books, get rid of the diets, get rid of all the things on dieting. Because the person who is the perfect version of you probably would not be reading diet books, because they simply wouldn't need to. Those books would not exist in their life, And it's interesting, because I was coaching somebody recently and they were saying, how do I not see the things that I don't want, because they keep showing up in my feed? Like it was, like they, in my Instagram feed, in my Facebook feed, the algorithms show you what you've been searching for. So algorithms and social media is actually a really good way to see where your mind is at right now, because it's going to keep showing you more of the same of what you've been creating. So if you are seeing things which are about dieting and weight loss and people overweight and unhappy and things like that, then you're going to keep seeing more of that. So this person said to me, how do I stop that? Well, you start searching for things as the new person. I said, well, who do you want to be? What do you want to do? And she said, well, like I really want to go to Italy. She said, but I don't have the money to go to Italy. I'm like, there we go then. You start searching for things to do with Italy. You start searching about places to go in Italy. You start searching about the language. You start searching about restaurants, food, whatever it is. You know, you put yourself in Italy. Like, oh, I'm in Italy now. Where do I want to go? What do I want to see? What do I want to do? Let's choose. And that's basically how you do it. So you need to start changing everything in your physical world as much as you possibly can to act as if that version of you is already happening. If there is anything showing up on your social media, try to block it from your feed or say you don't want to see that stuff anymore, because that's not you. And that's what we would do anyway. You know, if I'm looking at Instagram, for example, and I see something on fly fishing, I don't want to keep seeing things on fly fishing because I'm not a fly fish and I have no interest in fly fishing. So I'm like, remove that from my feed. I only search for things that are in alignment with what I want. Let's look at this in the relationship sense, okay, in your physical world. If you're having difficulty with a partner, okay, and you feel like your marriage is on the rocks, and believe me, I've been through a marriage that has ended and I've realized the things that I was doing wrong during that time. And you might be searching for broken marriages or what to do when your marriage is breaking down, or like things like that, in a fit of desperation to try and fix things. Or my husband's always out, he's never home, I don't like the way my husband talks to me, or how do you deal with that, how do you cope with that? So you're constantly manifesting more of that. So this person in this perfect version of you maybe has a wonderful marriage, so you start searching for, how can I make my husband or my wife feel more loved? Or, like great things to do as a couple, or, traits of a best marriage, that type of thing. So you shift into the person that has the things that you want. So I'm talking physically, your physical self. Act as if as much as you possibly can, whether that be getting your hair cut off, or, don't say, oh, I'm going to do it when, do it now as much as you can. The clothes, the hair, like anything that tells you you've got to where you want to be, do that. Imagine your physical environment on the outside. Are you holding on to things that are not part of the transition that you've made into the perfect ideal self? Get rid of those things. If those things don't belong in your world as the end version of you, get rid of them. So anything that you can do to physically, on your phone, clear your phone out of things that do not serve you, okay? And just keep holding that attention into that space. So do this for a week. We're going to unpack this, on a daily basis. But the first thing is to start preparing for this, is to really physically, in a physical sense, be that person. Act as if you are already that person who you've decided has the great relationship, great health, great body, great mind, emotionally healthy, great money, great finance, everything like that. You just decide. We're going to talk tomorrow about the next part of this process, but the physical part is the first one. So give that some thought. First of all, think about those 4 areas of your life, the things that you really want to change and create in those areas of your life, the person that you then need to step into who already has those things, and then start to physically improve. If you are somebody who collects a lot of clutter, but that ideal version of you lives in a beautiful, organized home, then you know what to do. You need to get rid of that clutter. So you need to be that person now. This is the first step in our journey this week of acting as if. We are now going to get into our daily accountability. Thank you so much for being here with me, Nikki. Thank you if you're watching this replay. And we'll be back here tomorrow for another morning mindset where we're going to keep unpacking the acting as if topic. And in the meantime, have a beautiful Sunday ahead. Thank you so much.
Before we begin, don't forget you can join me live online inside virtual co-working space at www.virtualmissfriday.com/VCS. If you enjoy this session, give it a like. I'd love to hear from you, so write me a comment. And so you don't miss any updates, don't forget to subscribe. Let's begin. So now we're going to look for the positive with our gratitude. First, we'll spend 1 minute thinking of the day before, thinking of all the things that happened, reflecting on work, interactions, relationships, memorable moments, and more. Now you'll write one thing down minimum that you're grateful for. You can, of course, write down more. Something good, something that went right, a small moment or a big win. The more you search for things to be grateful for, the more you will experience things to be grateful for. Now we're going to read out your goal. Make sure your goal is written down in a journal or somewhere you can easily access it. Read your goal now, ideally out loud, and commit to this goal. Believe it will happen. And by reading this daily, the universe knows clearly what your goal is, and the things begin to shift in the direction of your goal. Follow your instincts when this happens by taking action. Now you need to see your goal in visualization. Spend this minute thinking about the goal in your mind. See yourself taking steps towards the goal, or even better still, see yourself having already achieved the goal. Close your eyes and go there. Step into the feeling, step into the place, step into the accomplishment. And finally, it's time for your most important task. Set this task for today and make it relating to your goal. This could be something small like sending an email, recording a video, or making a phone call, or it could be bigger. Either way, one task a day is one step forward, and those steps will add up. Do what you can from where you are now. Set the intention, and the action will carry you towards your goal. Well done you for completing your daily co-create session. Have a fantastic day ahead, and I'll see you next time.